Shuji owned nothing, not a family name or legacy, only the single name he was given at birth. Yet even that name was rarely spoken. People scoffed at him, calling him garbage or a worthless weed. But once he reached adulthood, those same mouths began to whisper different titles: Spear Demon, Venomous Snake Spear. With nothing but his spear, he crushed every foe and spilled rivers of blood, even when left utterly alone. Branded a villain of the spear, he wandered in tattered rags, rewarded each day with nothing more than a bland potato ration. The endless battlefield became the only place he could ever call home. In the present, Shuji approaches a cluster of trembling soldiers, crimson drops sliding from his spear's tip. The men sent to kill him freeze as if rooted to the ground. What advances toward them looks less like a man and more like a demon walking upright. Some even soil themselves in terror. Their commander rallies desperately, shouting that it is only a single opponent. He roars charge, and the entire squad thrusts their spears toward the lone figure. Shuji vaults into the air and, with one ruthless motion, drives his spear through the commander's skull. Seeing their leader fall shatters the soldiers' morale. They swing and stab in panic, but one by one they collapse, lifeless on the blood-soaked ground. Though he survives the skirmish, Shuji's body is riddled with arrows. The curses and grudges of the slain press upon him, until he finally topples and breathes his last. In the haze of death, he wonders if this was fate's design or a cruel twist of destiny gone awry. Yet his story does not end. Instead of fading away, Shuji awakens reborn and hurled backward in time. He stands in a forest, realizing with surprise that he has not returned to infancy. A glance in a mirror reveals his teenage face, confirming this is the era when he served merely as an errand boy. A sudden noise draws his attention. He moves toward it and finds a caravan beset by forest bandits. Members of the Howling Tiger Escort Bureau struggle against the attackers, and Shuji feels a flash of annoyance at being dragged into battle the instant he reincarnates. From behind, a hulking figure emerges. The oversized bandit demands to know if Shuji is the escort master. Shuji locks eyes with him and instantly spots the fear trembling there. Like most of these woodland thieves, this man is clearly a novice. Sweat beads down the bandit's face as he shouts a threat to slaughter the entire escort team before charging. His movements are clumsy and predictable. Shuji counters without effort, thrusting his spear straight through the man. Though the glory of his old war victories is gone, his martial skills remain enough for him. He recalls how everyone once scorned his chosen style, calling it a demonic art. But it is the only technique he knows, and that is sufficient. With the first bandit impaled, Shuji strides forward. Another attacker leaps out, grinning as he thinks his strike has landed. His grin fades instantly. Premature celebration costs him his life. Shuji scoffs at their foolish belief that two pathetic bandits could ambush him. Without pausing, he adds this second body to the end of his spear. Now the weapon carries a satisfying heft, like a skewer of chicken over a fire. Hearing the escort bureau's name pulls old memories to the surface. As Shuji walks calmly through the remaining brigands, unease spreads among them. Then a massive man steps up, proclaiming himself the bandit leader. Shuji offers only a faint smile, which infuriates the boss. With a roar, the giant swings a wild slash. Shuji dodges with ease, taunting him for behaving like a cowardly rat that can only chase. He even gives the brute credit for his impressive build before dismissing it as his sole accomplishment. One precise strike ends the so-called leader's life. The sight sends chills racing through the surviving bandits. Several drop to their knees, terrified, whispering that this youth is a merciless monster. Shuji merely notes that his spear still feels annoyingly light. To correct that, he calmly adds a third barbecue piece to his weapon. The gruesome display breaks the bandits completely. They scatter in panic, screaming that they have seen a true monster. At that moment, the spear demon has returned to the world, and in their eyes, nothing is more terrifying than the figure standing before them. Our boy strides toward the battlefield, where the escorts are still locked in a fierce struggle against the bandits. For a brief moment, it seems the escorts might gain the advantage until a hulking, muscle-bound bandit storms in, acting like he owns the place. He bellows that he will teach these bounty hunters their rightful place. As he clashes with the escorts, the lingering demonic spirits of his fallen comrades whisper to Shuji. They reveal that the man's name is Ego, and that he once led them as their boss. They even plead for their old leader to follow them into the afterlife. Shuji asks if this brute is really their stronghold chief, and the spirits confirm it, urging him again to drag the man down with them. Shuji, without hesitation, agrees to grant their wish, intent on devouring the bandit ex-boss whole as he steps forward calmly. The spirits grow louder, chanting a slightly twisted version of the name Igo. The former boss clearly loathes hearing himself called that. Before he can even voice a protest, Shuji drives him into the ground. Terror floods the ex-boss when he catches sight of his comrades' corpses still skewered on the spear. The fear deepens as their ghostly voices repeat his name and call him to join them in death. The man breaks down, weeping real tears, seeing only a walking demon before him. When the spirits call Ego's name for the third time, a strange demonic force bursts from Shuji, and a claw of darkness slices across, the spear swinging as the bandit's throat is cut. Whenever a name is spoken 3 times in this way, Shuji can dispatch a soul straight to the underworld. That is precisely what happens to Ego as he is dragged screaming into the afterlife. Our boy reflects on how long it has been since he last used this cursed skill. That thought pulls him into memories of when he was thrown into a deadly scouting mission simply because he was still a rookie. His hands were shredded and bleeding as he barely managed to scale a steep cliff, risking his life. He bitterly remembers how he was tricked by promises that joining the army would end his starving days, only to suffer the same hardships he once endured as a slave. Pausing near the cliff's edge to catch his breath, he steadies himself. When he stands again, he suddenly senses a heavy, dark aura rising behind him. A shadow looms as he glances over his shoulder. Two glowing red eyes pierce the darkness, the sight nearly scaring him out of his wits. His thoughts race, wondering if it is a tiger or some vengeful ghost. He forces himself not to look again and walks away as fast as possible, convinced this is something he was never meant to witness. Panic gnaws at him as he thinks he cannot die this early. His inner voice screams, warning him not to turn back no matter what. Then, without warning, a voice calls from behind, asking what he truly hopes to accomplish after living such a miserable life. The shadowed creature mocks his existence, calling it no better than that of a crawling insect. After taunting him, it tempts him with a gamble, offering a chance to throw away his wretched life once and for all. Shuji finally dares to turn and demands to know how he could believe such promises. The figure, like an ancient geezer shrouded in darkness, remarks with a grin that the boy has some nerve to talk back. He asks for Shuji's name. When Shuji gives it, the old man remains unsatisfied and presses him again. Shuji repeats himself, but the geezer insists once more, until Shuji, irritated, shouts his name a third time. The demonic-eyed elder closes the gap in a blink, lifting the boy with one hand. Shuji cannot even register the movement before he is being choked. The old man claims him as a disciple without offering a choice and explains that if there is someone Shuji wants dead, he need only have their name spoken 3 times. Do that, and no matter what, their death is assured. That day, Shuji is granted demonic powers by his new master, a figure of pure evil in the martial arts world, feared everywhere as the blood demon Kofu. Snapping back to the present, Shuji cuts down bandits without mercy. Noticing something unusual, his mind feels sharper and clearer than ever. He thinks about the demonic energy bestowed by Kofu and remembers that the power was incomplete, its roots meant to sink into his bones and cloud his thoughts. Yet now he feels fresh and lucid, not dulled as expected. Turning his focus inward, he soon realizes the breathing technique he learned as a child preserved his calm and clarity, shielding him from the mental fog that should have overtaken him. Kofu had warned that until the demonic power was fully mastered, sanity could not be maintained. But now, having achieved it, Shuji smiles quietly, wondering what expression his master will wear when he learns of this accomplishment. Just then, members of the bureau approach from behind, offering heartfelt thanks for his help in such a desperate situation. Their commander, Shueika, first-class escort of the Tiger Pit sect, fixes her gaze on him with a nervous look. She had watched him mow down bandits one after another without pause, his very presence suffocating. Determined not to lose such a formidable ally, Eika politely asks if he would lend them his strength a little longer. Shuji rejects the idea immediately, saying that if she has nothing more to say, he will be on his way. Eika quickly stops him and presents a golden token, explaining that it belongs to the Tiger Pit Sect Enforcement Bureau. With it, he will be welcomed as an honored guest wherever their influence extends. Shuji accepts the token while thinking of the Tiger Pit Sect. Their honesty is well known, but he also knows of their tragic fate, for they will disappear within a few short years. Even so, he takes it without hesitation. Eika then leads her team away, promising to greet him again once their mission concludes and telling him to rest for now. Before leaving, Shuji casually asks to borrow a horse. He picks the one infamous for its foul temper. Eika worries, knowing even expert riders have trouble with that beast. Yet when she turns back, she sees him already mounted. To her shock, the horse stands perfectly still, trembling so hard it actually urinates in fear. Watching this, Eika can only reaffirm what she already suspected: the man before her is no ordinary warrior, but a monster in human form. Her vice commander smirks and teases, asking if she has fallen for him at first sight. Eika's face flushes with anger as she glares, hand on her blade, and threatens him, demanding if he is tired of living. The group then shifts the topic to Shuji's spear technique, wondering if he belongs to a famous spear-wielding clan. But Eika quickly dismisses the thought, pointing out that what she witnessed was no martial arts style, but a military spear technique. What disturbs her most is how someone so young could display such flawless mastery. She begins to suspect Shuji is the son of a powerful military family, perhaps journeying as many warriors do after training. Yet, what impresses her even more is his character. Despite his rough, selfish manner, he risked his life to aid them when he had nothing to gain. That blend of strength and contradiction intrigues her, and she deliberately directs him toward the Tiger Pit sect. Silently, she hopes that when he learns of the sect's coming crisis, he might help save them from the evil Black Dao sect. Meanwhile, Shuji scolds the trembling horse, warning it to stop urinating and threatening to cut it down if it dares soil the ground again. With that settled, his thoughts drift back to the Tiger Pit sect, and a certain man named Aiku crosses his mind. He wonders where that man is now, and what kind of trouble he might be facing. Shuji drifts back into his memories, recalling the moment when Aiku became his very first friend after he joined the army. He remembers the rough early days when older soldiers bullied him, demanding demanding that rookies like him serve their meals before eating their own. Shuji had confidently replied that he had never heard of such a rule, but the bully warned him to remember it if he wished to avoid a beating. Just as things were about to turn violent, Eiko appeared and exposed their bluff, firmly declaring that the senior's claim was absolute nonsense. He even went a step further, daring them to take his portion as well, since he was new there too. The senior bully flushed with anger at the defiance and tried to strike him. Aiku snatched up a potato and hurled it straight at the man's face, then, with a mocking grin, told him to eat it if he was really that hungry. Without hesitation, he unleashed a barrage of punches until the senior collapsed, warning that next time he would break every tooth in his mouth. Startled by his boldness, Shuji whispered that he should not interfere. Aiko handed him the potato and said he should eat it if he wanted to survive in that place. That simple yet genuine gesture marked the beginning of their friendship, and Aiko introduced himself as Shuji's direct senior. They began to talk, and Shuji, who was then called Kuyoi, revealed his name before asking the senior for his. His mind drifts further to another memory, when he was almost choked to death on a cliff by the blood demon Kofu. Aiku had been searching for him and arrived just in time to witness the terrifying scene. Without hesitation, he shouted for Kofu to release Shuji, threatening to fire a flare and call for backup if he did not. Kofu only smirked and let Shuji slip from the cliff, sending him tumbling, which enraged Eiko. The demon casually remarked that he had done what was asked, so Eiko should be satisfied. Aiko was about to pull the trigger and fire the flare when Shuji, barely hanging on, stopped him at the last moment. Shuji managed to save himself by clinging to a jagged rock and told Eiko to leave without worrying. Kofu, however, made it clear he had no intention of killing either of them. Instead, he presented a dangerous proposition. If they brought him a rare herb capable of healing his wounds, he promised to grant them the strength to survive in such a merciless world. With no better option, Shuji and Aiku reluctantly agreed. From that day on, they became Kofu's disciples. It was then that Kofu began teaching them about beings called unrestrained demons. He explained that these creatures were once human souls, corrupted into demonic spirits after being devoured by tigers. They lost their humanity and wandered as twisted entities, ultimately becoming loyal servants to their master. Kofu then introduced his infamous martial technique, the art of the unrestrained demon. He described how the art followed three main stages called compression, tempering, and transcendence, each divided into 10 levels. The first stage allowed a person to release demonic energy like flowing water, while the second stage transformed blood into venom. Their master calmly added that he now stood at the fourth level of the final stage, where notions of good and evil no longer mattered to him. After filling their minds with this nightmarish knowledge, Kofu finally revealed his demand. They were to retrieve the herb he desired in exchange for his teachings. The herb's name, he said, was the 100-year snow ginseng. Aiko argued that such a treasure was far beyond their reach, and asked if their master could at least open the key channels that allow Chai to flow, the Ren and Du meridians. To their surprise, Kofu agreed. Aiko quickly suggested that Shuji should go first. He told Shuji to have his meridians opened, and then set out to collect the herb, while he stayed behind to gather others until it was his turn. To make the plan more convincing, he joked that going second was always the tougher job. Shuji accepted without suspicion and departed. The story then jumps to his return, where Shuji staggers back, his body pierced with arrows like a living pincushion, yet he has gathered every single herb. Hoping that things would finally work out, he dragged himself to their master's place only to be frozen in shock. Kofu's severed head lay far from his body, and the one who killed him was none other than Eiko. His friend was gravely wounded and collapsed to the ground. Shuji rushed to him in panic, demanding an explanation. Aiku admitted he knew from the beginning that Kofu never planned to let them live, and that their only choice was to strike first or die. Shuji realized this was why Aiku had sent him away earlier. He now saw that Eiko's meridians were destroyed beyond repair. His friend had decided to take the master down even at the cost of his own life. Tears streamed down Shuji's face as he wept. Aiko laughed weakly and told him not to feel guilty, saying killing an old tyrant was nothing to regret. He then explained why he chose to save Shuji, confessing that he was the last surviving member of the Tiger Pit sect. Aiko recalled how Shuji once said the sect head and lady were good people, and from that day, Aiko began to see Shuji as family, since no one else had ever spoken of his parents with such kindness. With his final breath, Aiko said he was glad to have met Shuji and asked him to take revenge if the chance ever came. His voice faded, and Shuji could do nothing but watch his friend's life slip away. The story returns to the present. He vows never to allow grudges to fester in this world where he has been sent back. His first plan is to prevent the destruction of the Hu clan at any cost. He also recalls how he just saved the Tiger Enforcement Bureau, and which serves as their financial backbone, and starts to believe the future might already be shifting in unexpected ways. Shuji calls out to a man nearby for information. The chubby man, irritated at being addressed so casually, tries to strike him, but Shuji grabs him by the skull like a melon and orders him to talk. Shuji asks if the manor belongs to the Tiger Pit sect, led by Koganan and his lady Shagan. The frightened man admits that everything Shuji says is correct. Shuji then asks if their son is named Koeku. The beaten man denies it. Shuji begins to wonder if going back in time has changed reality, though most of it still aligns with his memories. To make his warning clear, he grabs the man by the collar and says that if he finds Aiko alive in the sect, he will come back and beat him again, just for fun. The man panics and quickly explains that everything Shuji says is right except for one detail: the leaders of the Tiger Pit sect have no son. Instead, they have only a daughter. Hearing this, Shuji is stunned. He realizes the painful truth that his friend Aiko was actually a woman, even though he had always treated her like one of the guys. He stood frozen by the revelation, refusing to accept what he'd just heard. Even after several days, he still found it impossible to believe Aiko was truly a lady. To be certain, he thinks showing the golden token would let him slip into the Tiger Pit sect, but that would blow his entire undercover plan. A few days later, he's late for work at the Tiger Pit stables, and a pudgy man named Wu Tu-yoon yells at the homeless boy. Yes, he chose to live as a vagrant to keep his cover. Wu decides to punish him by making him clean mountains of horse manure for being late again. Inside the stable, Wu orders him to feed the horses and deal with all the dung, reminding him that this was still better than living on the street. When Wu asks if he understands, the boy stares him down and claims he has no idea what Wu is yammering about. Wu decides the kid must have terminal stage brain rot and shouts that he should take his job seriously after all the sect leader took pity on a homeless boy like him. At that moment, a horse bursts through a fence and crushes Wu's knee without mercy. Shuji wonders where such a monstrous animal came from. Then an irritating laugh echoes from the pompous young master of the Jiao clan. Looking at Wu like he's beneath him, the young master orders the injured worker to feed his horse and then leaves. As the other stable boys carry Wu away, Shuji remembers Aiko telling him the Jiao clan played a role in her clan's downfall, and he decides to set his revenge in motion. Meanwhile, the Tiger Pit's leader, Aiko's father Koganan, arrives and tells the Jiao brat he's much younger than expected. Koganan asks why he's come. The contemptible youth answers with a creepy grin that he has just one purpose: to see his future wife. Koganan says he never promised his daughter to Jiao trash, but the brat insists there are already rumors he will marry Aiko next year. Koganan asks whether the brat spread the rumor to sully the Tiger Pit's name, and Zhao Taihan laughs, insisting he wouldn't stoop so low just to get her. Aiko then appears. The men are struck silent by her beauty, and she tells them to find someone else to fawn over and stop bothering her family. Taihan threatens her and brings up the rumors, but Aiko stands beside her father and says flatly that she could never marry him, ordering him to leave. Taihan warns that her family will soon be ruined along with their pride, then decides to come back another day since he has a brothel to attend. As they walk away, his lackey comments she's even prettier than the gossip. Taihan says that's exactly why he can't stop thinking about her. She possesses a beauty nations would ruin themselves, and it's a pity she was born in the lowly Tiger Pit sect. When they return to their horse, the brat grabs its reins and announces they'll head to the ladies' district. The horse suddenly refuses to move. When the lackey checks it, the animal foams at the mouth and collapses, knocking the young master to the ground. The two wonder where the stable boys are, but Shuji watches unseen from a corner. He has removed the horse's liver, using a technique that leaves no visible mark, so they'll never know. He glares at the Xiao clan man who helped bring about Aiko's misery. She had told him the Tiger Pit sect was destroyed in a political struggle with the Xiao clan, and that Taihan was behind it. Because of that betrayal, she grew to hate her own beauty and even burned her face with her own hands. That revelation infuriates him and cements his resolve to begin his revenge. Later that night, he walks the empty streets until he reaches a farming supplies shop with a huge X smeared across its doors. He goes inside and the owner asks who he is. He calls himself Shuji, but the owner says he doesn't recognize him. The drunk amputee tells him to leave because he retired long ago. Shuji throws himself onto the table and orders a simple hammer, giving measurements down to the inch. The drunk blacksmith is stunned those dimensions aren't for pounding nails. Shuji coolly replies he never said it was for nails. The man asks if he wants anything else, and Shuji asks for a custom spear. The blacksmith slaps a blade into his left hand and says he'll need a day to sharpen his masterpiece. Shuji asks if there's anything small and sharp too. The owner smashes the table Shuji is sitting on, revealing a hollow packed with steel spikes. Shuji says he'll take them all and come back later, but the owner doubts whether a homeless boy can afford them. Shuji tells him to try him. The man, thinking Shuji might be a ghost, asks if he can bring his dead daughter back. Once he's sure Shuji is flesh and blood, the blacksmith admits with tears that he would feel satisfied if he he could slaughter the bastards from the Black Dao sect who killed his daughter. Shuji readily accepts. The man double-checks whether he knows who the Black Dao sect are, but Shuji replies there's no need. He's about to erase them from history. Having said that, he then asks the blacksmith if he has any poison and some work cloth. The crippled man questions him if he thinks absurd things like that actually belong in a blacksmith shop, but he still throws him a bear hide and a jar full of the Mio clan's so-called special poison, which he never tested. Our boy opens the jar and instantly realizes the poison is third-rate stuff, so he tells the man that he got completely tricked, but he still takes it since he can find a way to use them, and says he will collect the other items the following day. On his way out, he sees a large bone that the old man normally uses to deal with animals. He decides to take it with him for now until the weapons are finally made. The blacksmith thinks that he is some kind of ghost, but it does not matter to him because he just wants his poor daughter's revenge. Later, when he reaches right in front of the Black Dao sect's main base, the NPCs try to stop him, but he makes quick work of all of them by whacking them hard with his huge bone. When he let half of them flee in his former life, they came back later to bite him in the back. That is why our hero decides he will not let a single one of them escape this time. After he calmly walks over the corpses of the NPCs he slaughtered, all the noise instantly causes the 4 elites to arrive on the scene. Each one of the ugly warriors cannot believe the intruder is just a little boy, so they get ready to discipline him with a proper whooping for ruining their sleep. Thinking he is just some ordinary brat, the Elite 4 attack him, but to their surprise, not a single one is a match for him. He deals with the first guy by kicking his nut straight up, then he uses his fingers to gouge out the eyes of the second one. Seeing this, the other 2 dash toward him, but he quickly kills one of them by throwing the long bone right at his chest. After that, he finishes the third one, but the last one shouts that he will surely make him suffer badly. Our boy finds it hilarious that the thieves are all mad when someone is stealing from them. He asks why the guy is getting frustrated over such a little thing, because he is going to steal each and every single thing from them. Anyway, seeing that, the bald guy is terrified and wonders who this monster even is because he has never seen someone fight so ruthlessly. He thinks the boy is a monster because he killed everyone in the Black Dao sect with nothing but a horse bone. Seeing him in action makes him feel a shiver crawl down his spine, but he musters up his courage and decides to strike him anyway. But our boy sends him flying in a single clean hit. Half dead, the bald guy weakly asks who he is and who sent him. He tells him the blacksmith has sent him to kill all of them. Hearing that, the bald guy is shocked that they were destroyed simply because a crippled blacksmith sent a hitman after them. Then he delivers the final strike with his massive bone, and after completely wiping out the Black Dao sect, our boy leaves and thinks to himself that now the payment for the weapons should be covered with the 4 elites' deaths. The scene shifts to the Black Dao main hall. A messenger from the Xiao clan steps forward and informs the sect leader that young master Xiao Taihan and his father are seething with rage because their plan collapsed. Irritated, the messenger mocks the Black Dao leader, Gu Yoho, saying he could have taken both the stolen goods and the Jiao clan's reward if only he had sent men disguised as forest bandits. But the instant he mentions that the tribute to the evil alliance cannot be delivered, the Black Dao leader starts sweating nervously. Go slams his fist onto the table in sheer frustration, realizing the plan blew up in their faces. And the worst part is he has no idea who caused it. The messenger presses harder, insisting he should have dispatched his elites from the start, but leader Yoho throws the blame right back at him, saying he never warned him about the Tiger sect's absurdly tight security. At that, Scarface glares at him with a deadly stare, demanding if the old man truly intends to pin the failure on him. He locks eyes with the geezer and makes it crystal clear that his entire clan will be wiped out if he fails a second time. He shouts again that the Geo brat will never rest until Eiko is in his hands. That remark drives leader Yoho into a fury, making him snap and order the man to shut his mouth. Just then, both men turn toward the source of a loud crash. The sect leader cannot believe anyone managed to reach the entrance when 4 elites were stationed there. Cold sweat runs down their backs as a shadowy figure looms behind the door. When it swings open, severed heads tumble in like rolling balls. Both men are horrified when they recognize the faces of the beheaded elites. Scarface starts panicking, thinking the intruder could actually be a master from the Orthodox sect. In fear, he blurts out that he is from the Xiao clan and has no ties to the Black Dao at all. But that only enrages our boy, who bites down on his own lip until blood seeps out, then spits it straight into the man's eyes. Bewildered, the messenger keeps repeating that he is not part of the Black Dao as his eyes turn blazing red. You see, the blood of a demon arts practitioner is so toxic that it burns like poison. Our boy relishes watching the Xiao lackey writhe, knowing his blood probably stings worse than pepper spray. Scarface, driven mad, swings his sword at him, but Shuji dodges with ease. The attacks are far weaker than those of the 4 elites. A bloody haze begins to seep from his weapon as he activates his demon arts, and Scarface instantly realizes he is up against a demon. The man tries to strike again, again, but Shuji forces him back and delivers a clean slash down his shoulder. That single blow carries such destructive force that nothing remains except a mess of blood splattered across the floor. Meanwhile, leader Yoho is unraveling, terrified at the sight of humanity's bane, an evil presence that utterly transcends the boundary between good and evil. He cannot believe one of those demons has come directly to his doorstep. Yoho knows full well that bargaining with a demon is impossible, but the old man had prepared a safety net. The whole time Shuji was fighting, he had been edging backward and finally manages to press a hidden switch that calls for aid from the evil alliance. As he sneaks toward the exit, our boy suddenly speaks his name, freezing him in his tracks. The geezer is stunned that the youth can converse rationally despite wielding demon arts, and wonders if Shuji has already reached full mastery. Witnessing the terrifying control Shuji exerts over his demonic energy, the Black Dao leader immediately drops to his knees, groveling for his life. Like every third-rate villain, he offers to serve him in any way he commands. He blurts out that if he fails to make his offering to the evil alliance, he will be executed, and even hints it could spell trouble for Shuji as well. Shuji, amused by the old man's quick thinking, demands that he abandon martial arts altogether if he wants to survive. Yoho is dumbfounded by the condition, but Shuji declares it is the only chance at life he will grant. The Black Dao leader realizes giving up martial arts is as good as dying. In a desperate gamble, he draws his sword and lunges to fight. But Shuji had already anticipated the coward's lack of courage, swinging the moment the geezer drags his limp sword out of its sheath. At that moment, the old man realizes from Shuji's aura that he is not actually a master of demon arts. Rage bowls inside him that an amateur dared to force him to kneel. Shuji simply smiles at the senile fool for finally catching on, but he is pleased things turned out this way, because now he can end his enemy the traditional way. Suddenly, the Black Dao leader feels a sharp surge of pain tearing through his entire body and wonders if Shuji secretly planted something inside him. Our boy thanks the man for making his job entertaining, then releases the souls of the fallen Black Dao warriors and orders them to devour their terrified leader. Yoho lashes out desperately at the spirits and then charges at him. However, he is completely outmatched, as our boy effortlessly avoids every strike with incredibly fluid movements the old man could never predict. In his final moments, Yo realizes those movements were created with the sole purpose of killing the enemy, and thinks that no word other than demon could describe Shuji. Right after, Shuji drives a vicious thrust into his chin, launching him across the room and slamming him brutally into the wall. Among the papers scattered in the chaos, one reveals proof that the Black Dao sect was selling people into brothels and earning mountains of money from it. The old man cries for mercy, but Shuji asks how many victims begged him the same way. With that, he sets the elder's robes ablaze and brings down his bone of justice, creating a second bloody masterpiece on the floor. Afterward, our hero devours the soul of the Black Dao sect leader and becomes excited at finally acquiring one that is truly valuable. Just then, he hears faint voices outside the room. The moment he steps out, he runs into a group of armed men preparing to attack, and he realizes a long, gruesome night is still waiting for him. The following morning at the Tiger sect, Wu announces to the stable boys the good news that the entire Black Dao sect was wiped out and their headquarters was burned to the ground. He explains that the Tiger Pit had been drowning in debt to them, but now that those scumbags are gone, there is nothing left to repay. The stable boys gain newfound respect for the mysterious hero responsible, while Wu shouts at our boy, asking if he is finally done shoveling horse manure. Seeing his cold expression, the fat guy starts mouthing off disrespectfully, and our boy even considers shutting him up with his gold token. However, he chooses to keep it hidden until the Joel clan matter is resolved, and instead allows Wu to punish him however he sees fit. At that moment, a gentle voice telling the fat man to stop comes from the entrance, and our hero is stunned when he sees a familiar face. He still cannot believe how much more beautiful Eiko has become as he compares her to the one from his previous life. She scolds the fat man, telling him to be patient with the new recruit because he is still just a kid. The fat man argues that he will probably quit after a short time, but Eiko replies that every individual has a destiny to fulfill, so the Tiger Pit sect cherishes every person connected to them. Shuji remembers the old Eiko saying the exact same thing, telling the chubby man that they might meet again in the future and perhaps become as close as family. While Wu is irritated by her lecture, she calmly tells our boy that he can come to her anytime someone bullies him just because he is new. Her gentle words completely stun Shuji, because even though her face and voice have changed, her eyes are just as pure as before. With a wide smile on his face, our hero responds that she should also come find him if anyone dares to mess with her. Everyone in the back, including Eiko's followers, is absolutely shocked by what he just said to a noble lady. However, Eiko simply smiles and softly replies that she will remember his words. Later that night, our boy approaches what appears to be a harmless pile of hay, but beneath it is his entire stash of weapons. He straps on his gear, takes hold of his weapon, and sets out on his path of revenge once more. At the Zhao clan main building, he darts through the front entrance like a shadow, moving so fast that the guards don't don't suspect a thing. He easily slips through the garden and takes out the patrolling guard with a precise stab straight to the neck from behind. Afterward, the hitman casually hides the body around the corner, leaving no obvious blood trail. He steps inside, where two girls feel safe, confident that nothing could happen thanks to the tight security put in place after the Black Dao incident. Suddenly, Shuji notices two guards, so he flicks an iron blade at the first one's foot, embedding it into his soul. As the man screams and stumbles, Shuji walks through the front door like nothing happened and knocks him out for good measure. The other guard, sitting nearby and munching on dry bread, grows irritated at his lazy comrade. When he receives no response, his anger spikes. He strides forward to teach the supposed slacker a lesson, not realizing it's Shuji in disguise. Before he can reach him, blood gushes from his eyes, and he collapses dead on the spot. Nearby guards, seeing this, realize he's been poisoned. They decide to interrogate the chefs and lock the building down. This isn't even Shuji's final form. The whole operation was merely a warm-up to test the gear carefully provided by the blacksmith. With the test complete, he resolves to erase the Jiao clan's name from history. Deeper inside the HQ, a guard complains that the heightened security after the Black Dao incident feels excessive, and his friend agrees. Suddenly, Shuji bursts through the paper doors, cutting through their necks before they can react. As he climbs the stairs, a guard sees him in uniform and questions the noise below, mentioning that the master is asleep. The guard becomes puzzled when he notices Shuji wielding a bloody spear instead of the usual sword. Other guards are alerted when they see their comrades taken down instantly, but they too are skewered before they can sound the alarm. Two more guards rush in, confused that no one has reported an intruder this deep in the building. Like the others before them, they meet the same fate, receiving a painful pedicure from iron blades scattered across the floor. After dealing with them, Shuji calmly proceeds to the master's chambers. Upon entering, he immediately realizes that the Jiao clan head is on a completely different level compared to Black Dao's leader, Yoho. Seeing Shuji so determined, the old man tells him to at least show some manners and knock before entering. Shuji stiffens, standing face to face with the man who killed thousands for his own gain and made Eiko's life a living hell. The old man asks why he's visiting in the middle of the night. Shuji shoots back, asking if he's really Zhao Yushi. The old man doesn't like that bratty tone and tells him to watch his manners, then asks where he came from. He guesses that Shuji isn't part of any righteous sect and begins running through the clans one by one. Meanwhile, Shuji sizes him up, thinking this will be a close fight, and calmly declares he's from the Tiger Pit sect. The answer throws Yushi off. He can't believe the Tiger Pit could produce a monster like this. The old man presses for the connection to the clan, and Shuji admits he's merely a guest. Yushi wonders if he's just some servant fighter or even a stable hand, but quickly shrugs, as if it doesn't matter. He draws his sword, taunting Shuji that stepping in here is essentially signing his own death warrant, and asks if he agrees. Shuji closes his eyes briefly, feeling it surreal to face this man. In his past life, the geyser lived in peace, while Eiko suffered in silence and died. This time, he vows that things will go very differently. With that determination burning inside, Shuji draws his spear and braces for battle. He swears revenge, and the clash begins as he blocks the old man's sword with his spear. The move alone shocks Yushi, who instinctively takes a step back, with a cold glare. He demands to know if Shuji just used magic and why he can sense Shion's secret arts emanating from him. Shuji fires the question back, asking where he even got that idea. In his mind, he knows that with his 9th level compression stage spirit power, he stands on equal footing with this old monster. Both warriors power up as if competing in an aura farming contest, and Shuji stays focused, knowing experience will be the true decider. They clash again, and the old man blocks an incoming strike, admitting it's not bad, but he quickly parries the spear away, sparks flying, taunting that cheap tricks won't work on him. The wrinkled geyser narrows his eyes, wondering how Shuji plans to fight with flames burning in his gaze. Shuji, however, remains unfazed. Yushi freezes briefly as the spear slams across his face, but Shuji doesn't even flinch, and only a few strands of hair fall to the ground with blood. Drenched in sweat, the old man mutters that he nearly died there. The strike grazes his neck. He shakes it off, claiming he almost landed a hit on Shuji too, cutting his lower body. Shuji tenses, realizing he's facing a seasoned veteran. Without hesitation, he launches 2 projectiles, but Yushi dodges them effortlessly with his sword. He even sidesteps a thrown bone, chuckling as if enjoying himself. He says he's eager to know who trained Shuji and even offers to take him as a disciple. Shuji isn't buying it, sensing the old man is scheming behind his words. Suddenly, Yushi darts forward like lightning. Shuji tries to retreat but backs straight into a corpse. Cursing his luck, he watches as Yushi declares the fight over. In one swift motion, the blade pierces Shuji's chest, splattering blood. Yushi keeps his grip and smirks, impressed that the boy didn't scream. He strokes his non-existent beard, noting Shuji is far superior to his useless son. That's why he wants a strong girl around so the weakling can have children before he dies. Shuji refuses to let the insult pass, gripping the sword with his bare hands, catching Yushi off guard. He mocks him, asking if he really doesn't know how how long he has left to live, but Yushi doesn't respond, too shocked that the sword won't budge. His eyes widen as he realizes Shuji has stopped the blade with his ribs. He wonders if the boy deliberately took the strike to create an opening. Shuji makes it clear he isn't holding back. He declares he'll openly reveal how many days this geyser has left. He calls Zhao Yushi by name, and the old man starts losing control. Fear creeps in, though he finds it absurd that a powerhouse like him is trembling. Darkness swirls around them as Shuji speaks the name again. Yushi panics, desperately trying to pull his sword free. When Shuji calls his name a third time, a demonic hand bursts forth, reaching straight for the geyser. The old man collapses into tears, struggling to even form words. Then he lets out a scream from the depths of his lungs as the demonic hands close around him. In that instant, our boy drives his blade straight into his heart without hesitation. Yushi spits blood, demanding to know how a young brat like him could possibly wield murder-intent illusion magic. Shuji responds coldly, saying the geyser may have fought 1,000 battles, but to him, those were nothing more than practice. He drives the blade deeper, taunting that real death battles exist on a completely different level, especially the kind of hell he had to crawl through. Compared to that, this fight is trivial. Gasping his last breaths, Yushi utters one final plea, begging Shuji to spare his son. Raising his hammer high, our boy mercilessly denies the request and crushes his head like a tomato, the weapon now dripping as if coated in ketchup. He mocks that Yushi will never get to see his ugly grandchild in this lifetime. With the fight finished, Shuji relaxes slightly, thinking he should recover before moving on. But just then, his senses spike as something feels off. Stepping into the inner room, he spots 2 freshly brewed cups of tea on the table. Piecing the clues together, he realizes someone else has been hiding here all along. Without wasting a moment, he swings and smashes the giant pot to pieces, revealing a terrified manchild inside. The man scrambles backward, pleading for Shuji not to come closer. Our boy facepalms, thinking how trash like this is why countless people had to die. He grabs the brat by the hair and mocks him, asking if all the riches and power really make him a hero. But the geyser's son cannot even summon the courage to speak. With no answer forthcoming, Shuji smirks coldly and declares he'll make sure this coward truly becomes a shining star. Looking the coward straight in the eye, Shuji coldly announces that tonight he will become an idol. The next day, posters flood the province, drawing crowds from all directions. The posters claim that since both the Orthodox sect and the Black Dao sect were corrupt, someone decided to play Batman and deliver justice. People on the streets wonder what is happening, talking about how an unknown vigilante wiped out both the Black Dao sect and the Zhao clan with ease. In the end, they shrug, glad the corrupt pests have been eliminated. Yet one question lingers: who possesses the strength to destroy such powerful forces? The scene shifts to Wu, telling his comrades that he heard the vigilante called Yushi's name 3 times before striking him down. The rumor shakes the workers, prompting whispers that the vigilante might be the Grim Reaper himself. Wu adds that by the end, the Jiao clan master was reduced to tears, frightening them further. Suddenly, a voice announces he is already here, sending the trio into panic. Meanwhile, Eiko is lost in thought about the mysterious vigilante who avenged the Tiger Pit sect. Even if those men were trash, she feels uneasy celebrating their deaths. She wonders who this person could be and why they are helping her clan. Then it suddenly clicks. Eiko once mentioned in a letter that a vigilante would come to the sect carrying a gold token, but she cannot recall anyone like that showing up. At that moment, her horse's reins are pulled and she snaps back to reality, asking where she is. She looks ahead to see a breathtaking view of the lake, leaving her stunned. The girl turns to Shuji and asks how he knew she liked lakes. He simply replies that she told him before, leaving her puzzled since she cannot remember ever saying that. Our boy drifts into thought, recalling how she always talked about lakes whenever she felt stressed. He pulls out a few herbs and lights them, letting the smoke drift across the lake. Eiko immediately brightens, realizing it is insect repellent, the one thing she always needs when visiting the lake. With a cheerful smile, she asks if he was always this competent in his past work. Tapping into his inner poet, Shuji replies that when people treat him like family, he makes sure to care for them the same way. She pauses to absorb his words, then says she will not pry into his secrets. Instead, she extends her hand and confidently declares that at the Tiger Pit sect, everyone is family. Shuji is sent into another flashback of the final moments he shared with his comrade in his past life. Back then, Eiko revealed she was the heir of the Tiger Pit sect, and Shuji had told her that the master and his wife were good people. From that point on, she began to see him as family too. Suddenly, a loud voice calls out to the Aries, who is holding hands in public. The walking Big Mac frantically shouts that the escorts have returned. Hearing this, she lights up with excitement while Shuji is left standing there, tugging the reins of her horse. She quickly apologizes for cutting the conversation short and invites him to the feast later that night. With that, she dashes off while Wu chases after her, calling for her to wait, watching them disappear. Our boy finally smiles to himself and admits this life is not bad either. If you're excited for the next part, leave a comment and I'll do my best to bring it to you as soon as possible.